Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Mike. You already know what is up and what is good. And in today's video, I'm going to run through my Western Conference playoff predictions. Now, at number 1, I got the Warriors at 66 and 16. I think they're going to struggle a little bit early. I think they're going to struggle early, but not in the terms of like below 500 or around that 500 mark. Not like that. I just think that teams are starting to close the gap and they're going to start to realize, because remember, they don't have Boogie for almost at least half the year that we know of. So they'll pretty much be like the same team for a half a year or just until Boogie comes back. They only picked up a few pieces or a couple pieces. They picked up Jonas Jerebko. That's the only piece I can really think of. They lost JaVale McGee. So they're kind of really the same team if they kind of got worse until they get Boogie back. And a lot of teams around the league did get better. So they're closing the gap to the Warriors. So you'll see that it won't be as easy for them. And I think that's what I mean by they'll struggle a little bit, where it won't look as easy and they won't look as dominant. So I got the Warriors at 66 and 16 in the number 1 seed. Number 2 seed, I have the Rockets at 60 and 22. I don't see why people are counting this team out. They were still 57 and 5 with Chris Paul, Harden, and Capella. They still have that offensive powerhouse. Yes, they did lose some of their defense in Ariza and Luke Mbamute, but they still have Harden, Capella, and CP3. And if you have those 3 pieces, and you can have complementary pieces around those guys, then you can still be a viable team in the playoffs and contend for a championship, especially if you guys have those 3 guys. So I still see them as one of the top teams in the West. They're still, I think, one of the top 5 teams in the league, maybe even top 3 teams in the league. The Rockets are still a good team. I have them at 60 and 22. They do pick up Melo. I'm pretty sure they're going to pick up Melo. It's pretty much inevitable, but he should come off the bench. I think he should come off the bench. I don't think he will. I think he will start, though. Their bench isn't as good as it was last year. It's not that the Rockets needed a bench last year. They just kind of staggered Chris Paul and Harden, so they ran both units and they played together. They played together and then they staggered and they played together again. I think Melo should come off the bench. He's going to add scoring regardless if he comes off the bench or not. It just depends on how D'Antoni uses him. I think they'll fit well together. I think they're over what happened in New York. So I think that relationship is recoupled. So I think they'll be fine in Houston. But again, it all depends on how they use Melo. I think he'll be back to around that maybe 18 point per game guy, not 16. Because in OKC it just didn't work out. You could tell when they played, and it just stopped the flow when Melo got the ball. So I think it won't be the same here in Houston. I think it'll be a lot different because he fits their style of play more than he fits in with OKC. And speaking of OKC, they are in my number 3 spot at 57 and 25. Yes, I have OKC in the 3rd spot at 57 and 25. They are the best matchup against the Golden State Warriors. If you don't remember how they guarded them last year in the regular season, I know it is a regular season, but again, what you do in the regular season accounts for what you will do in the playoffs. They defend well against Golden State. They match up well against every position. But the one thing the Warriors might do in the playoffs is run DeMarcus Cousins a lot more, because then they won't have someone to guard Draymond Green and DeMarcus Cousins. So I think they'll do that in the playoffs. But regardless if they do that or not, OKC is the best matchup against Golden State. They added a lot of depth in their bench this offseason. So I think they got Nerlens Noel. They got Dennis Schroeder, a nice backup point guard. They re-signed a couple guys. So they're a really nice team coming back. And they got rid of Melo. That's the biggest thing for them. That really opened up a lot of cap space for them to be able to sign these additional guys to their bench. So I think losing Melo was a huge part of their offseason. That's really the best addition by subtraction that they could have used in this offseason. And they got Robertson coming back, their best defender. He's going to probably be guarding, Kevin Durant, him and Paul George. So I think they have 2 guys that can guard Durant. And that's going to be key to when the playoffs come around. So they got him, they got their best defender coming back, and they still got Russ and PG, of course. So I think they will be, I think without Melo last year, they were a nice team. They worked out together, Russ and PG. But with this team they have now, I think they'll be better, a lot better than they were last year. Remember, guys, they were like a top defensive team when Robertson was healthy. So those guys back and Paul George all together. And Jeremy Grant, they already had him, so I think they'll be a nice defensive team. And Jeremy Grant is another guy that can guard KD. just because his length and his athleticism, so he can guard KD as well. And in my number 4 spot, I got the Lakers at 53 and 29. They picked up LeBron in free agency, of course, and they picked up some nice, tough, grit guys to go along with some smart guys in Rondo, of course. And this Lakers team is about defense and toughness. People keep saying that LeBron doesn't have enough shooters around him on this team, there's not enough shooting. Well, that's because that wasn't their game plan in going in free agency. The Lakers saw what the Rockets were doing against the Warriors in the playoffs in that Western Conference Finals. The Lakers were looking at the Rockets and say, if we can get guys to guard and be rough, be tough against these guys and defend, then we can get our guys and we can play well against them. We can match up well. The Rockets and the Lakers are very similar, but listen, the Lakers are just like the Rockets, but the Rockets are like that three-point shooting team. They surrounded themselves with three-point shooting and a lot of three-point shooters. The Lakers are the same way, but instead of three-point shooters, they have playmakers and shot creators. They have more shot creators than playmakers. So instead of three-point shooting surrounded in every position, they have shot creators and playmaking at every position in the Lakers. They have Rondo, Lance, Lonzo, LeBron, Kuzma, Ingram, Josh Hart. They have a bunch of guys that can create for themselves and create for others. Once you are able to create for yourself, you can open up the floor and open up opportunities for other players to get their points, and then they'll start to come after you, and then that'll leave other guys open, and then that's another shot creator that's left open, so they can go to work as well. So that's why I think the Lakers are a really nice team to watch out for, especially when matching up against the Warriors and just in general. So the Lakers have a lot of tough guys. That's what's really key in defending the Warriors and playing them and trying to just beat them in general. So that's kind of what the OKC Thunder did. They just didn't have that toughness. They just had that really good defense. And the Lakers have both. They have the defensive guys and the tough guys. Guys that aren't afraid to just go out there and get some hard fouls, push people around, get them off their game. That's why they picked up Lance, JaVale, Rondo, people like that. Michael Beasley, another lengthy guy. And they have a lot of guys that can guard KD. They have a lot of guys that can guard Kevin Durant, or at least just match up with them, and maybe, they won't stop him, but, they have the guys that have the same length as KD, they just to get in his face, just to throw different bodies at him. So I got the Lakers at 53 and 29 at the number 4 spot. The number 5 spot, I actually had the San Antonio Spurs. I got them at 51 and 31, by the way, so they still have Popovich. They got DeRozan and Aldridge, a nice little combo. I like that combo. It's a way better version of Valanciunas and way more versatile in terms of scoring the ball and just his game in general. So you got Aldridge and DeRozan, and the Spurs won 47 games without Kawhi last year. And if you insert a DeRozan along with Jakob Poeltl into that lineup and into that team, DeRozan alone will get you more than like 5 games. That's just going to put you over that 50-win mark in the Western Conference. So I have them around 51 and 31 with DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl coming into the lineup. They got Lonnie Walker in the draft. I know they let Tony Parker go, but they still have the veteran guys. The Spurs are a really nice, high IQ, defensive, slow you down type of team. That's what they have, and that they just added DeRozan and Jakob Poeltl to go along with their depth in their team. They're still a solid team in the Western Conference, and I still see them as a 5th seed, maybe even a 6th seed in the Western Conference. Now on to my number 6 spot. I got the Blazers, guys. The only reason why I have the Blazers in the 6th spot is because I'm giving them a chance. They got swept last year in the playoffs. Wasn't really a good look for them at all, getting swept in the first round by the Pelicans. Guys, if I don't have the Blazers here, it's going to be the Pelicans. The Pelicans are going to be in the 6th spot if I don't put the Blazers here, but I am putting the Blazers here at the 6th spot. And if it's not the Blazers, it's going to be the Pelicans. The Pelicans will move up, and then followed by my next team, which I'll mention later. So, again, the Blazers here, I'm giving them a chance. They picked up a couple pieces to round out their bench as well. A lot of teams getting better around the league, so they're one of the teams that just added a couple pieces, not like other teams did. Well, they got a lot better. They just got a little bit better in the Blazers. But, again, I'm giving them a chance. I know they got the 3 seed last year, but other teams in the West got better as well. You got the Lakers pushed up, so they kind of get pushed down, and the Blazers. I got the Blazers at the 6th spot at 50-32, by the way. See what happens with them. I'm giving them a chance, so let's see what they can make out of that. There's number 7 seed. I got the New Orleans Pelicans. Randall and AD. I'm really excited to see that duo go out and perform on the floor. I'm really excited to see how that plays out as well. And they got Holiday and Mirotic. They had a really good defensive campaign to finish out the season. They actually performed really well without Boogie Cousins, as you guys heard in my last video. They obliterated their expectations when they lost Boogie, so they were able to go out there and compete every night and every game to really showcase their talent that they still have. They picked up Mirotic, so he can spread the floor a little bit, and well, a lot, but you know what I mean. He can spread the floor out. And then you pick up Julius Randle to go along with Anthony Davis. I'm really excited to see that. I'm pretty sure Randall will play the 4, then AD will play the 5. So I'm really excited to see that and see how they perform. And then my number 8 spot is the Jazz. Again, I have them. And the Pelicans, I have them at 50-32. The last 3 teams, 6, 7, and 8, are all tied at 50-32. They can easily win more games. They can easily win more games than 50 games. But just in the sake, I'm just going to have them all tied at 50-32. I really like the Jazz. They remind me of the Pacers in the East. They're kind of like the Pacers of the West. I like this team a lot. Their defense has really improved ever since they got Gobert back. Obviously, he was a big part of why they were so good defensively. So he came back, and that really kind of fixed things in their rotations and their lineup. So with him coming back, that really opened up how they can perform on the floor. They got Mitchell. They got Grayson Allen in the draft. So they just re-signed some key guys. They got some guys back, so I'm really excited to what they can do. Maybe even duplicate what they did last year. Win a couple more games, maybe a few more games. And I'm really excited to see that same core go out there and just perform and just overachieve just like they did last year. So my honorable mentions in this Western Conference, obviously you got the Nuggets, the Clippers maybe, and even the Grizzlies. Remember, the Grizzlies were a 51 team every season before Mike Conley got hurt. And then that's when Mike Conley got hurt, that kind of forced them to they kind of lost focus of what their team was. So that forced them to trade Zach Randolph to the Kings, and that kind of just threw apart their team. Chandler Parsons, he's always having injuries. But remember, the Grizzlies were a 51 team day in and day out. They got Jaren Jackson. So hopefully Conley coming back and Marc Gasol, they can put up a close campaign to make the playoffs. So maybe they'll be a surprise next year. And then finally the Timberwolves. I don't even know what the Timberwolves are going to do. I'm going to make a whole nother video about them soon, but the Timberwolves, I just don't know. There's too much animosity in the locker room, amongst the players, the star players as well, too. Jimmy Butler always calling out his teammates, and he's right for that, because you have to be, in order to win games in the Western Conference, you have to have that attitude and that mindset and that work ethic. That's what he called out Andrew Wiggins for. You got to have that work ethic in the Western Conference. You have to have the will to win every game in the Western Conference, because every game does matter in the West, and Jimmy Butler recognizes that. Say, hey, Wiggins, Cat, you guys have to pick up your work ethic and your will to win in order to make some noise in the Western Conference. You made the league. You still have to elevate your game and your work ethic and your body to just perform on the floor. You can't just make the league and stop there. You have to have a work ethic to improve your game every year, every season, every game. You can't just sit there and expect to get better when you don't put in the work to. So that's where he's calling them out. There's too much stuff in the locker room. Their bench didn't really get better this offseason. I know they picked up some guys. I'm not sure. I forget who they were, but I know they picked up some guys. I remember seeing the notifications. So I'm really excited to see how this team just plays out. And the reason I don't have them making the playoffs, guys, the reason I don't have them making the playoffs in my list, my prediction is they don't stay together the whole year. Something will happen for this team that it will cause them not to make the playoffs, to make a trade or something. Someone will leave. They lost Jamal Crawford, but I think they'll lose someone in a trade. Someone will be on the way out. I think someone will be on the way out, and that will force them to have not have enough pieces to make the playoffs. So that's why I don't have them making the playoffs. But if I knew they were staying together, if they were all good, and there was no beef in the locker room, I had the Timberwolves winning 54 games. The Timberwolves would be a 4th seed in my list because I have them at 54 wins. That's 1 game above the Lakers. So, but it's just there's so much stuff going on with them. You don't really know what's gonna happen with them. That's why I'm kind of iffy about putting them in the playoffs. because I think they aren't going to be the same team entering the season as they will be when they finish it. So that's why I didn't have the Timberwolves in here. But again, if I knew they're staying together, I will have them as the 4th seed at 54 and 28. Those are my top 8 spots in the Western Conference, and my playoff spots, and my honorable mentions. So in the Western Conference playoffs, you got first round matchup of the Warriors and the Jazz, Lakers and the Spurs. Ooh, guys, some of these matchups are just going to be so fun to watch. You got OKC and the Blazers, and then you got the Rockets and the Pelicans. Like, look at these first round matchups, guys. Warriors and the Jazz, one of the best teams that match up well against the Warriors in the first round. Then you get the Lakers and Spurs, the classic NBA rivalry in the first round. LeBron and the Lakers. You got playoff Rondo, LeBron, Lonzo, Kuzma, Ingram, Lance, all versus the Spurs versus Pop, DeRozan, Aldridge, the Spurs dynasty in the first round. Then you got OK3 and Paul George, Russ, and Steven Adams in the first round versus Dame and CJ McCollum. And then you got James Harden, Chris Paul, Clint Capella versus Julius Randle and AD with Drew Holiday in the first round. So in the first round, I got the Warriors winning that one in 6 games. The Jazz match up really well against the Warriors, but again, the Warriors have that spark, that switch just to flip in the playoffs. So I think they'll finish this one in 6 games, maybe even 7, because you know that Jazz defense, they defend the Warriors really well. So I got the Warriors winning that one in 6. And then you got the Lakers and Spurs. I had the Lakers actually winning this one in 6 games as well. I just feel like the Lakers have a lot more, I was going to say they have a lot more experience, but the Spurs actually have more veterans than the Lakers do. But the Lakers veterans are still more active, and they still have that, they still have potential. So the Lakers have more people that can still create for themselves in the playoffs, or just in general. So I think the Lakers win this one in 6. And then you got OKC and the Blazers. Now, if the Blazers play the exact opposite of how they did last year or this year, they will go to 7 with the OKC Thunder, but the OKC Thunder will win this one in 7 games. I see this one going 7 games. If the Blazers play up to standard, not like they did last year against the Pelicans. If they play the opposite and actually how they play in the regular season like they do in the playoffs, this series will go to 6 or 7 games. 7, I see it going, and OKC finishing this series in 7 games. Then you got the Rockets and the Pelicans, another great first round matchup. I see the Rockets getting this one in 6 games as well. James Harden, Chris Paul, and Clint Capella can get this one done. But don't count the Pelicans out either. They can probably push this team to 7, but I see the Rockets getting this one in 6. And then second round matchups, you got the Warriors and Lakers. LeBron having to face the Warriors in the second round of the Western Conference playoffs. Not in the finals. Let's see what he can do against the Warriors in the second round of the playoffs instead of having to face them in the finals. Can he take them out before they get to the finals, or will the Warriors triumph again over LeBron and force their way to the Western Conference Finals? And I got the Warriors winning this one in 7. The Warriors will come out on top. I just feel like they have a lot more pieces that can score, and the Warriors, that is, that can just overwhelm the Lakers, especially the young guys. You saw how young guys performed in the Cavs team, but that's a different story on the Cavs. Well, the Lakers, these are proven guys. I think they'll perform well, but it's just that the Warriors just have so many pieces that they can just run out there and just throw at you, and that can score the ball. So I think the Warriors come out on top in 7 games. It will go to 7 games. And then you got the Rockets and OKC, guys. Either team, I see this winning. I see either team winning this series in 7. It will go 7, but I can see either team winning it in 7 games. But I did choose the Rockets, but then again, it could either be the Warriors and Rockets Western Conference Finals back-to-back, or a Warriors and OKC. And if the OKC Thunder can beat the Rockets, I have them beating the Warriors in 7 games. You've heard it here first. If it is the Warriors and OKC Western Conference Finals, the OKC Thunder will beat them in 7 games. You heard it here first. They are the best matchup against the Golden State Warriors. You can go look at the numbers, you can go look at the games. How they defend the Warriors is how every team should assemble their team. 3-and-D guys that can score, play make, and create for themselves. That's what the OKC Thunder have, and that's what the Lakers put together. The reason I have OKC going further than the Lakers is because I've already seen what the OKC Thunder can do against the Warriors. I haven't seen what this Lakers team can do and how they match up against the... If OKC can get past the Rockets in the second round and face the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals, I have them beating the Warriors in 7 games. Now, if the Rockets win, I have them losing in 7, because maybe even 6, because those guys that defended Kevin Durant last year, or the guys that you can just throw bodies at Kevin Durant, they don't have those anymore. They don't have their defense anymore, and that's what won them games last year in the Western Conference Finals. You saw how low the scoring was. That might not happen again in this series with the Rockets and Warriors. Yes, you'll probably have those maybe higher scoring games, but the Warriors have a lot more scoring options than the Rockets do, so I think they will have that edge on the Rockets. So I think they'll come out on top against the Rockets in 6, and then Warriors and OKC in 7. You've heard it here first, guys. You've heard it here first. So that means you either got an OKC and Celtics finals, OKC and Raptors, OKC and Pacers, or Warriors, Celtics, Warriors, Raptors, Warriors, Pacers. The Pacers are obviously the underdogs in that Eastern Conference matchup over there. So it's either going to be Warriors, Celtics, Warriors, Raptors, or OKC Raptors and OKC Celtics. I'd like to see an OKC Celtics. That'd be fun to watch. I know people are excited to see that Lakers Celtics. Classic NBA rivalry in the Lakers and Celtics finals. Classic finals rivalry right there. So I'm excited to see that too. If the Lakers can pull off the one against the Warriors, that'd be a fun matchup to watch in the Lakers and Celtics. So I'm excited to see what they can do in the playoffs as well with the Lakers. So yeah, guys, that is my Western Conference playoff predictions. I've had some pretty bold takes in this one, so let me guys know what you think about those. Let me guys know what you guys think about your standings, about your team, what you guys see your team doing in the Western Conference, what you think your team will be able to do against these teams in the Western Conference. So let me know what you guys think about the standings, the wins. Do I have too many wins for one team, not enough for one team? Thank you for watching this video, guys. I'm always excited to see what you guys have to say. You guys see me liking your comments down below. I read every comment, so let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Mike. Thank you for watching this video, and you can let that beat drop.